recording and just go ahead and get started. So just want to say welcome. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm again just so pleased to see, so many people coming in and having an interest in this topic. And for dedicating, what's a really busy Monday afternoon, I know for a lot of us, to make time for this workshop. The topic of the workshop today, of course, is course videos made easy. For those of you who don't know me, I am Anna Everett. Some of you know me as Anna Young, and I am an instructional designer in the Office of Online Learning. And what I want to do here today is I want to convince you that adding video to your course can be quick, it can be easy, and it can be simple. You don't have to be an expert voice actor or have all of the latest widgets and gadgets to produce effective, engaging videos for your online course. So I really want to present this as in a simplified manner, in a way that anyone can do, and make it just accessible for everyone. So with that said, I'm of course in online learning, so most of what I say will probably mainly be pertinent to those fully online courses. But if you're teaching virtual, hybrid, or on-ground courses, those courses also might be enhanced by adding a recorded video to your course shell, and I'll go over a couple of possible advantages to that. So first off, I wanted to start with the why. So why might it be a good idea to maybe invest some time in recording videos for your course shell? And then, of course, we're going to get into the how you do that, starting with what equipment you need to get started recording video. A hint, you probably already have everything that you need, so no need to buy anything fancy or new necessarily. And then I'm going to go over some basic tips and suggestions for recording quality educational videos. And then finally, I'm going to dive into the integration piece. So that's, how do you actually add videos to your shell? How do you integrate them into assessments? And importantly, how do you caption them for accessibility? So first off is our why. So what are some of the advantages of using video in online courses? And I'll just put this question to all of you. Have you ever received an email or a text where you couldn't tell what the tone of the sender was? If you're like me, were you ever left thinking, wow, are they mad at me? What's going on? So just raise your hand and put it in chat. Yeah, I see some thumbs up. Yeah, it's happened to all of us, right? Now, why does that happen? Any thoughts on that? I know we have some communication experts in here. We've got Amy Bryant. Why does that happen? Why do we, sometimes misinterpret the tone of messages we receive in text? Yeah, lack of nonverbal communication. So there's a lot of important communication that happens beyond just the words that are spoken or the words that are on the page, as you well know, Amy. So tone, for instance, sometimes can get lost, or emotion, a lot of those kind of human elements. So when we have the person right in front of us, there's all kinds of visual and auditory cues that we can pick up on. But that might sometimes get lost in text. Yeah, body language too. So why would we expect it to necessarily be any different in an online course? So in most online courses, students they're mainly engaging with text on a screen for the most part. And they're mainly communicating with their instructor via text on a screen as well. So when you're giving feedback or otherwise, communicating with your students, there might be a couple of important elements of communication that are getting lost, like tone or intent, especially when you're giving feedback. If it's just text on a screen, it's possible maybe for a student to read that as being a bit harsh. So just some things to consider. So with all that in mind, I would just make the case that at least for some communications in your course, you don't have to make a video for everything, but it might be a good idea to use some video selectively for exactly that reason, to better humanize yourself in the online course, because in the online environment, we often lose that kind of human component for students, especially. So on top of that, video, on a related note, really, video can be a great way to show students just who you are. that you're not just a disembodied entity on the other side of a screen somewhere, and to show that you're actively engaged in the course and that you care about them and you are paying attention to what is going on and what's happening in the course. Can help put a face to the name. If students, if you're not meeting in person, students may have no idea what you look like, and really have no idea really who their instructor is. And I think in a lot of cases, students really are craving that connection, right? We saw that a lot in the pandemic, right? Students and maybe, a lot of people generally were really kind of craving that connection that was hard to simulate through online means. So it's just a way to, just show students you're not just a mean robot on the other side of the screen. There's also some evidence to suggest that adding more dynamic, varied content to online courses can enhance learning and engagement. Students are maybe more interested in clicking on a video and watching that than reading walls and walls of text going on forever. Video also allows students to access content in multiple ways, and that's really important for accessibility because some students, maybe they learn better from using a video format for accessibility reasons, or as I've mentioned before, a lot of students maybe just prefer to learn via audio or video. And then finally, video can solve a lot of practical course management issues. I'm mainly thinking about the on-ground instructors here when I say this. So say you miss an on-ground meeting, campus is closed, or a lot of students miss a particular class, maybe you could just record a video, maybe not replicating the entire in-class experience, but just going over the highlights of what was missed that day. So there's a lot of potential advantages is the long and short of that. Another reason, student preference seems to strongly favor video over text or audio only. So this is based on a survey done by TechSmith, which is the creator of the video editing platform Camtasia. Some of you may be familiar with that. They do an annual survey of video viewer habits. And the 2021 survey found that about 83% of respondents prefer video for informational and instructional content. So that's us. So there seems to be a strong preference in the general population and also like from those learning or students as well. So really, I would like to suggest that maybe the question we should be asking is not, well, should I create a video? You should ask that because maybe a video isn't always necessarily the best choice of a format for all information. But how do I create videos that are effective and that get watched? Because what's the point of creating a video if students aren't going to watch it? They're not going to watch it all the way through, or they're not going to get anything out of it. So we're going to go to that piece next, which is the how to create videos. So first, as I mentioned before, you do need some basic hardware and software to get started recording video. With that said, though, don't worry too much about this piece. So odds are, if you're in the Zoom call with us and you're on camera and you have a mic, you probably already have everything you need to do a well enough job recording video. We don't necessarily need the latest technology or the latest gadget to produce a video that is of quality. So I'll introduce this as kind of the fast and free option for NSCC instructors. So all you really need when it comes to recording video is, first off, a way to capture video and a way to capture audio. And then some software that can capture both audio and video, put it together into a video file. So if you have a laptop with a built-in webcam, you're all set. You could just use the webcam that's built into your laptop. The loaner laptops that you can request through TSD, I believe they have built-in webcams. So that should be sufficient as far as video is concerned. For audio, I would recommend getting a headset for recording and also for listening, because as you know, if you're in a lot of Zoom meetings on your laptop, it can be helpful to kind of isolate the noise of the meeting from whatever else is going on in your environment. And it's also helpful for recording audio because you have a mic that's closer to your face and able to isolate the sound of your own voice rather than picking up just everything. which built-in laptop microphones tend to do a bit more of that. So you can request a loaner headset through TSD. The link is here on the slides. I'm going to send the slides around to everyone who is in here afterwards with all of the links to things I'm going to reference. So you can request that using that link if you don't already have your own headset or your own personal laptop with a built-in webcam. And then finally, the other free thing that NSCC has provided for you all is Kaltura, which is our recommended video recording, editing, and management software. You can download it for free. The links are here on the slide, and use that to record your videos. And I'm going to say a lot more about Kaltura in just a moment, but that's the basic setup that you'll need. If you do want to buy your own stuff, keeping in mind, that TSD supplies are limited. They did tell me that when I was asking them for purposes of this presentation. They do have limited supplies of laptops and headsets. So if you are wanting to get your own hardware, or you want to request that your department purchase it on your behalf, you might look into getting an external webcam. If you have a desktop computer, that you would need a external webcam, which would just plug into the computer with a USB. 1080p is usually the video quality that's recommended. Any new camera pretty much is going to record in 1080p. Logitech is usually the go-to brand for that. We use Logitech in the Office of Online Learning to pretty good success, I think. If you want, again, this is totally optional, and more to serve the purposes of vanity than anything, but you can also get a ring light for about $20 on Amazon. And, especially if you're concerned about how you look on camera, a ring light can be a really great way to just very quickly improve your appearance, because it'll shine light on your face that'll just illuminate your face better. What you would want to look for with that is just a ring light that has adjustable intensity, so it's not just stuck on the brightest setting, because it can kind of blind you, and then adjustable color, so white light versus a warmer yellow light, for instance, so that you can adjust that depending on what room you're in. You might use your phone for a video capture device. I mean, phones take pretty good video these days. I wouldn't suggest it be your go-to, especially not for your longer videos that are actually covering course concepts, or that are kind of like mini lectures. I wouldn't use your phone for that. Your phone, I think, would be a good option for maybe just like a short, like, hi, how's everyone doing kind of video, but not really for the more formal ones. So just keep in mind that your phone is also an option if you have one from the last few years. The camera should be pretty good. For audio capture, if you're looking to buy your own stuff, you might look for, I would look for a gaming headset, because they have extra cushioning. We use gaming headsets in online learning, just because they don't kind of wear on you as much. There are wired and wireless options depending on which one you would like to have. The downside of the wired option is that I know my issue is that I'm constantly like tripping over this and getting it tangled up in my chair. The downside of the wireless option is you have to remember to charge it because it's battery powered. If you really want to go the extra mile, I think a headset with a mic is perfectly fine. When I was testing audio before I started this presentation, I tested both with an external mic and with the headset mic, and I think the headset mic actually sounded better, so I opted for that. But if you do want an external mic, Amy, this is for you. I would recommend the Blue Yeti USB mic. This is linked in here. All of these products are linked in case you're interested in them. That's what I use at home, and it's great. There's a cheaper version, the Blue Yeti Snowball, I think, that's also really great. If you are interested in recording, say, like a lecture video where you're going to be walking around in the room, they also, another option might be a lapel mic. You see like correspondents like on CNN with those like on their lapel, just for that's kind of a special case. But I did link a option there in case you were interested in that. The big thing to remember with audio is that audio is more important than video, much more important than video. So you can get away with kind of bad video or low video quality, but if the audio isn't good, I think you're really going to lose students, because that's where you're conveying content, you're going over concepts, and it's really important for them to be able to hear and understand you clearly. It's really important for accessibility, for the subtitles to be processed correctly. So if you're going to invest in something, I would say invest in audio over video. And also look for noise cancellation or voice isolation. Pretty much any of the options here. Most headsets, most modern headsets are going to have something like that. If you did want to spend a little bit of money, you can get started for about $100. I've linked to a couple of recommendations. This is what we use in the Office of Online Learning. External webcam, Logitech C920E is about $65. The headset that I have now is $30. And then if you just really wanted a ring light, there's a lot of options out there for about $20. I just wanted to illustrate the difference between bad audio and good audio to kind of reiterate my point about the importance of audio. So I'm going to play two different samples, and you let me know which one you like the most, just to clarify this point. So one of these is recorded using the webcam mic. So of everything I've mentioned, the one thing you don't want to do, I think, with audio is record using the webcam mic. A lot of webcams have a built-in microphone that will allow you to, record both video and audio simultaneously, but usually it's not very high quality, I find, with the webcam mics. So I'm just going to play a sample of that and then just compare it to the external mic. So this is what the webcam sounds like.
Did you know that according to the 2021 TechSmith Video Viewer Survey, about 32% of respondents said that good audio quality was a significant reason they stayed engaged with a video, ranking only after quality of content and quality of speaker.
Okay, same video, but with a external mic. This is the Yeti Blue Snowball.
Did you know that, according to the 2021 TechSmith Video Viewer Survey, about 32% of respondents said that good audio quality was a significant reason that they stayed engaged with a video, ranking only after quality of content and quality of speaker.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, that just kind of speaks to the importance of audio, and that second one I think is probably going to be more engaging for students and for anyone really, because I find that first one to be really kind of hard to hear, even with the volume maxed out. I don't know if you all experience the same thing on your end. Yeah. Again, free software options. Kaltura is recommended. That's the best one, because it integrates with D2L, auto uploads any videos you record into D2L. It's got easy recording controls, and also the ability to toggle screen recording, camera, audio, all of those things in just a really simple format. And I'll show you that in just a moment. You could also, if you prefer, you could also record in Zoom if you wanted. Just open up your own Zoom room, hit share screen if you're wanting to share some slides or a screen, and just start recording and upload that to the cloud, and you can download that as an MP4 file, which you can then share with your students. PowerPoint, you can also record in PowerPoint, record over your slides, to a very similar effect. It just allows you to essentially record an MP4 video, and you can even add subtitles, live subtitles, as you're going through, like the ones that I have on the screen right now, because I am using PowerPoint. So it's really up to you, whatever you feel comfortable with. I strongly recommend Kaltura, but I know since we are all so familiar with Zoom and we spend so much time in Zoom, that might feel a little bit more comfortable for some. For editing, editing isn't really, you don't have to do necessarily any fancy editing. I would just suggest that you have something that you can at least trim the ends of your video, in case you're saying, when you're starting off, if there's that awkward pause at the beginning of the video, to making sure that your camera is on, or if there's, kind of a weird pause at the end where you're struggling to find the stop recording button. You can pretty much any simple editing tool will allow you to do that, to just trim and snip portions of your video to fit what you would like it to. Kaltura has an editing feature in the browser. We'll look at that when we get more into integration into D2L. If you have a Windows computer, you should have Video Editor installed, which is a free option. It's super easy to use and just has kind of very basic functionality, but should have everything you need. iMovie is for Mac. I'm not familiar with that, but I have heard that iMovie on Mac is pretty good. And then finally, there is Capwing, which is a in-browser freemium version. So you can use some of the features, but then you have to pay for it. But it's also just a very simple, easy to use, targeted at beginners kind of video editing software. Any questions so far? Awesome.
I have one.
Sure.
I'm afraid to ask it because I think Dale Rogers is going to like shake his head at me. Okay, if I have a webcam and then I want to add the microphone, does the plugging in of the microphone disable the audio part of the webcam? Or do I have to do something special?
Well, it depends on what you're in. So if you're in Zoom, you would just need to change the, I think it usually does this by default, but if it doesn't, you would just need to change the audio input to not be the webcam, but to instead be the microphone that you just plugged in. And you can control that in Zoom settings, and pretty much any of the recording options that I mentioned before will have the option to change what the audio input is. And you can also change it as the default on your computer. If you're on Windows, go into your audio settings, or if you just click the little sound icon down in the right-hand corner, you can change what the default audio input is. And it's the same if you have a laptop. The default is going to be the built-in microphone, but you can change it to be anything that you might plug in. So if you plug in an external mic, you just change that to be the default audio input. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Awesome. Great. All right, we will forge on. More about the how, but more about how do you actually go about recording a video? What are some basic tips and techniques to keep in mind as you're going about this, to make sure that they are effective and of quality and interesting to students? So my first recommendation is to just think about how you can maximize videos. And this really has to do with that question of, should I create a video and what should I make into a video? So again, not everything has to or should be a video. Just think about what content is best presented visually or orally. So that is in a video. Some things, it makes sense to just have them in text. But other things that, depending on what your learning objectives are, might be better conveyed either visually or through hearing. A video introduction, for instance, just giving students an idea of who you are, what you look like, what your voice sounds like, what your kind of style of presentation is. That is an example of a scenario where it makes sense to record a video. Because as we discussed before, it's kind of hard to convey a lot of that information, just through text on a screen. Tech demos and walkthroughs. If you want to tell students how to do something on their computer, it might be a good idea to just record a video showing them how to do it, rather than give them a list of 20 steps. Live performances. So, I mean, again, this is going to depend on your discipline and the needs of your course, but the example I've got here is Mark Helm's English 2020 course. That's poetry and drama. And in that course, he has a lot of videos because it makes sense to present poetry and dramatic performances through video. For instance, in this video that I have screen capped here, it makes sense that he's presented this as a video because he's reading aloud a poem, and there's a lot that you can gain from hearing a poem read aloud in terms of rhythm and cadence that students maybe wouldn't gather just from reading the poem on its own. So just think about what your learning objectives are before you think about recording a video, and whether those can be best accomplished through a video format as opposed to text or other means. I'd also say think beyond the lecture. And I'll also say more about this on another slide, but students really don't like very long videos. The shorter you can make them, the better. And so I wouldn't recommend recording 2 or 3, not 2 or 3, but 1.5 hour long videos, because students just aren't going to watch them or engage with them. But you can be really creative with this. If you're thinking beyond a lecture, it doesn't just have to be like presenting content or going over slides. You could even record a short little video, just checking in with students, something really casual and conversational. A video in one of your news items about reminders for the upcoming week, like just saying, hey, there's an exam coming up. Just make sure you're studying, and good luck to everyone. Something like that. I already mentioned this before, but a tech tutorial. I'm actually going to exit out of these slides because I'm going to open up a couple of links to show you all. So here's what an example tech demo could look like. Again, the purpose here being, just to show students where things are on the screen, which is a little bit more difficult to convey otherwise.
Hey everyone, this is just a short video to show you how to navigate the course and find the first assignment. To get started, from the home screen, you're going to want to go to the content link in the nav bar at the top. This is where you will find most all of the course information.
Yeah, and if you have students who maybe aren't familiar with the D2L interface, it might be useful to record something short like that, just showing them where different things are in the course. Another thing to keep in mind is maybe use elements of storytelling or animations to keep students engaged. I'll show you an example I made here. This is for our QCDC course that a couple of you I know have completed. Just to show you kind of what's possible. I did all of this in PowerPoint, by the way, so none of this is exceptionally high tech.
A curriculum map is essentially a roadmap.
Started us right in the middle.
Imagine you were going to take a trip. The first thing you have to do, of course, is
we're buffering.
Decide on a destination. It wouldn't make much sense to begin planning your route, much less what to stop and see along the way, if you don't know where you are going to begin with. The same principle applies
So yeah, just introducing a problem, a scenario, something that can kind of hook students into the video is a good thing to keep in mind. And then lastly, I was going to show this example. I did not make this. And this is also kind of setting the bar really high. So don't feel like this is necessarily the standard. But I wanted to share this one with you just for fun, because this is a really creative interpretation of that welcome video introduction. Is instead of just doing the standard, like, here I am and here's what the course is going to be about, make a movie trailer for your course. Creating interest and excitement for it. So we're going to take a look at this. This is by Andrew Kennedy, who is a biochemistry professor at Bates College in Maine. And I just love this. So enjoy. So yeah, that's just a fun example in case you're feeling exceptionally inspired. And I just think it's such a cool idea. So I encourage you, just think creative, think beyond the lecture, and just think about some of the possibilities of how you might, make videos fun and interesting in that way. And it doesn't have to be really high budget. I could see how he could have done that just using stock sounds from the internet, which, if you just Google like free stock sounds, or stock music, you can find something that you could use. And then using PowerPoint slides with transitions for those intermediary like text screens that showed up. Or, you could also just do kind of a standard welcome video. And this is usually how I've done mine in the past. If you're not feeling up for, dramatic music or a theatrical flair. So it, again, it doesn't have to necessarily rise to that level.
Hi there, and welcome to our course, History 2310, Early
Sure, it's what keeps freezing.
World History. I'm your instructor for this class, Dr. Anna Young. Just want to record this video to help put a face to the name and to just go over the structure and some of the expectations for this course.
Yeah, so short and simple is also great. And really, there's actually some studies that suggest that students are maybe enjoy kind of those low production, just simple videos of you in your office almost just as much as those kind of really really wild videos like what we saw from Andrew Kennedy. I mentioned this before, keep it short. And I mentioned it again because it's really important advice. 5 to 6 minutes tops. Multiple studies have shown that student engagement with videos, it really drops off past the 5 or 6 minute mark. So if you can, try to focus your video on just one topic, one objective, one particular item that you're wanting to introduce, and just keep it short and sweet, and to the point. But still make sure it's long enough to make your point, but try to get there pretty quickly. 5 or 6 minutes is the recommendation there. On a related note, reduce cognitive load. So don't overwhelm your students with your videos, especially not with a bunch of really long videos. Like I said, one topic per video is the rule of thumb there. And if you feel like you do need multiple videos or longer videos to convey something, think about how you can maybe chunk that content into smaller, discrete parts. So if you're walking students through a process, can you make one video per step? Or if, for instance, on this slide, I've screen capped a LinkedIn learning training on using Photoshop. So if you're wanting to walk students through using Photoshop, think about how you can segment that information or segment what you're wanting to show students into smaller units. And I use the example of LinkedIn Learning because I think they do an exceptional job of this with most of their courses. So in this course, you'll notice this is a series of videos down the sidebar. And every single one of those videos is less than 5 minutes long. So the first one's a tour of the Photoshop interface. Then we're going to working with multiple documents. Then we're going to panning and zooming documents. So each topic is self-contained in a short, concise video in that way. And in many cases, it's going to be less is more is going to be the rule of thumb. So not just overwhelming students with a ton of information, not just, going over, say, an entire chapter in your history textbook. I don't know if we have any history professors here, but history textbooks tend to have everything in the kitchen sink in them, not going. So don't try to cram it all into one video. Think about how you can divide it up. And avoid jargon. Try to speak in a conversational tone. And if you are using jargon or you're introducing new terms, just try to clearly define those for students. For presentation, another set of tips here. I've got another screen grab from Professor Helm and his course. He's used videos to great effect, I think, in his poetry and drama course. And right here, I'm highlighting the fact that he is illustrating perfect framing because he is right there in the middle of the frame. And there's a good amount of space around him, but he is in the center, and he's not too close to the camera. He's not too far away. So just be mindful of that. You don't want you don't want to have your face all the way up in the camera, or only have part of your face showing when you're recording. So just something to keep in mind. When I say show your face, I mean, at least sometimes in the course. So don't feel like, every single video that you record for your course, you have to show your face. Maybe just in the welcome video, if that's what you're comfortable with, just so students know who you are. So just at least sometimes. If you are recording yourself as a talking head in a box, again, try to use good framing. Try to look at the camera and not your picture. We all do it. We all look at our own picture in Zoom. It's a documented phenomenon. It's not just me, it's everyone. So if you're recording in Zoom, or if you can see your face on the screen, try not to look at it. Try to look at the camera as much as possible. And really importantly, try to use an enthusiastic conversational tone. Video is a little bit different than text. So this is your opportunity to be a little bit more expressive and fun. Yeah, Deborah?
I found a trick that helps me not look at me when I'm recording a video. I have this little character that my 16-year-old daughter created for me.
Oh,
and
yeah.
when I need to make a video, I tape it to the back of the camera and I teach to that character.
Oh, that is a
way
great
I'm looking
idea.
at the character, and I'm like, in my head, I imagine it's one of my students. And so I'm talking to that character, just like I would talk to the student. I'm making eye contact with the character.
I love that. That is a great
helps.
idea. I love that. The other thing you can do if you're recording in Zoom, I know you can hide your own face. I think if you click up in the upper right-hand corner of where you see your face, there's some dots and a drop-down menu. You can hide your own picture, so you're not tempted to stare at yourself the entire time.
Well, or you can just turn, if you turn your video camera off,
Yeah.
you can just narrate what you're sharing.
Exactly.
And your picture, nothing's up there. It's nice.
Yeah, not every video has to be a talking head. Again, show your face, but not all the time, just at least sometimes. So if you're going into your slides and you're mainly talking about your slides, just show those and just have audio. You don't necessarily have to be on the screen at all. Great suggestion, Deborah. I really love that. Use good lighting. So the rule of thumb here is that the light source should be in front of you, the main light source, not behind you. So in my case, it's off to the side, but there's enough natural light in the room. Natural light is really best. So if you can record in a room that has a lot of natural light, that's going to be best, because it's just kind of diffuse light that isn't too bright or glaring or intense. But just make sure that it's not behind you. I don't know if you've ever done this yourself or seen someone do this, where they come into a Zoom room and they've got the light or a window right behind them, and it just is really intense light and they're kind of in shadow. So I've got an example here just illustrating that principle.
So right now I have the light source shining on my face, but if I turn around,
this might actually be more useful in full screen. One moment, please. I just realized I'm teeny tiny on this slide. Here we go.
So right now I have the light source shining on my face, but if I turn around, you see the light source is behind me, and it really, really makes a huge difference in how well my face is lit.
Yeah, so there's just illustrating an example. When the light is behind you, it casts your face in shadow, and it can be kind of hard to see you. Narrate visual aids. So Deborah and Faye, I think you said something about this earlier, but narrate whatever is on your screen. This is great for accessibility purposes, because this makes sure that the content on your screen is accessible to non-sighted students as well. Just so everyone is clear on what is actually being displayed on the screen and what the speaker is talking about, especially if it's really important informational or instructional content. And it's also just good practice because it can be kind of frustrating when you throw something up on a screen and you don't explain why it's there, why it's on your slides. So it's just helpful for all students in general to just kind of talk through what exactly is being illustrated when you put an image or a video, or in the image that's shown here, say like an equation up on the screen. Don't date yourself. And by that, I mean, don't mention any explicit dates that are going to tie you to a particular semester or particular time period. So don't say the assignment is due on Thursday, August 19th. I'm not sure if that's even a Thursday, but just because that might be different in the next year. You might change when your due dates are in the next semester. And ideally, you can really reduce a lot of redundancy of effort if you can just record a video once and for all time. So videos should be evergreen, especially if they're just kind of generic messages that could be reused in a course, like a welcome video. If you record a welcome video for a particular course, just leave it generic enough that you could just reuse it in the next semester and you won't have to do it again. So it's just something to keep in mind as a time-saving tip. And then don't be a perfectionist. I know I just said a lot of things that you should do or not do, but keep in mind, you don't have to be a perfectionist about all of this. The content is more important than the production value ultimately. Again, there's some research to suggest that students really don't care that much about fancy production value. If you do want to record, a fancy movie trailer like what Andrew Kennedy did, that's great. But if that's not really your skill set, it's also fine. Students also really like, again, research suggests students really like just the talking head video of a professor in their office, excuse me. So that can also be effective. I did have an example here, but I'm just going to glide past that because I think we kind of understand that. And then finally, with videos, if you're covering course content, if this is directly tied to a particular learning objective, assess for it. This is how you can make sure that students actually are watching your videos and not just clicking past it and ignoring it. The whole purpose of recording video is because you want students to watch them. And one way you can make sure that they do is to have an assessment tied to them or even integrated into them. So for example, and I'll show you this in D2L in just a moment, a really cool feature of Kaltura is you can embed a video quiz into the video. So when students reach a certain point in watching the video, it'll pop up with a question that they have to answer about what was discussed. So here's an example here. It's up at the screenshot up at the top. This is just a quiz that has been embedded in a video, asking students a multiple choice question about what was covered. If you're not, so inclined to do a Kaltura video quiz, or you're not familiar with that, or just not interested in that, there are some simpler ways to do that. And that's just to tie an assessment to it, even a pre-existing assessment. So for instance, I've got an example here where this is a discussion assignment where the students have to watch the video that's embedded in the discussion area. And then there is a question that is asked in a random point in the video. Students need to respond to that discussion, answering the question that's asked in the video. So really incentivizes them actually watching it because they don't necessarily know where that question that you're going to read aloud is going to come from. And that's going to be crucial for them completing the assignment. So those are just some ideas for how you might integrate those into assessments. I'll pause again. Any questions about tips and techniques for recording video?
Isn't there a way in D2L to just see how many views the video may have gotten?
Yes, with Kaltura videos, you can look at analytics.
Okay.
And I will, since we're getting ready to look at that, I will show you that in D2L where you can look at that. It will show you who has watched the video, individual users, who's watched it, how long they've watched it, and whether they watched it all the way through or not.
Okay.
Dale?
Yeah, I'm wondering if if we're going to be staying with Kaltura, and if we change LMSs, is Kaltura video gonna be able to be embedded? I just wondering what the lifespan of the work that we do in Kaltura is going to be. Do you have any idea about that?
That is a great question. And it really makes sense to ask that because, you know, if you're putting in all of this effort, recording all these videos and putting them into Kaltura, the question is, can you take those with you once Kaltura is no more at Nashville State? Now, I don't know that it will be no more at any point in the future. But if that were to happen, you can download videos that you have uploaded to Kaltura. So if you're using that as your storage space for all of your videos, there is a way to download those back onto your computer as an MP4 file. So you'll still have those files to take with you. At video quiz or anything like that you add that's specifically tied to Kaltura, unfortunately, will be lost if you were to migrate to, or if we were to migrate to another video management software. Does that answer your question, Dale?
Yeah, it's like we've been talking about how can we extend the life of anything that we're creating, and I've been here long enough to see us change LMSs and change various different tools that we've had, and I'm just wondering. I was just wondering if there's a financial incentive and a financial commitment that yes, we're going to have this, or if, like in the idea, I mean, we can still create video, but just don't embed a quiz, and it'll continue to have a life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say, like, in terms of ensuring the longevity of your video files, the best way is to have those stored in an alternate location other than Kaltura. So I wouldn't just rely on Kaltura as both your course management and your file management go-to. So if you're uploading MP4s that you recorded in Zoom, or if you recorded using the Kaltura capture tool, it's a desktop download. Keep those MP4 files saved somewhere that's going to be accessible to you going forward in the future. So either on your computer or in Google Drive or something like that, because those are your personal videos and you want to make sure that you keep them in case we ever did decide to not renew our license with Kaltura and move to another platform. That would be my recommendation for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Great question. And I mean, because that comes up. We have instructors who teach at multiple different institutions, and not all of them have Kaltura, and they need to be able to take their lecture videos or any video content they have with them when they go, or if they're going to another LMS or another institution. So I would just keep that standard file format, save it on your computer. Pretty much anything you record in is going to save it as an MP4, which is universal. Okay, great question. But we're going to switch gears now, and while we're on the topic of Kaltura, we're going to go full on into Kaltura. For those of you who are not familiar with it, this is an all-in-one recording and editing tool that Nashville State has a license to. You don't have to do anything to activate Kaltura inside of D2L. It's already there. It is under the More tab in the nav bar, anywhere inside of D2L in one of your D2L courses, under Kaltura My Media is what you'll want to look for. And that's where you can upload videos to Kaltura, and then from Kaltura you can embed them into your course for students to view. And Kaltura is great for a lot of reasons. First of all, it offers auto captioning. So any video that you upload into Kaltura at Nashville State is going to be automatically captioned with a fairly high degree of accuracy. You can also import pretty much anything into Kaltura. There is a Kaltura capture tool you can download, put on your computer, and use to record yourself or record video. But you can also add in YouTube videos if there's a really excellent YouTube video that you would like to use in your course. You can copy the link, drop it in Kaltura, and it will automatically caption it and allow you to use all the Kaltura features like video quiz in it, even if it's a YouTube video created by someone else. If you've recorded a video in Zoom, if you recorded it in PowerPoint, pretty much anything that's in that standard MP4 file format, you can import into Kaltura, have it auto captioned, do all kinds of fun stuff with it, and then put it in your course. Video quiz, we already mentioned, a really really fun and great way to integrate assessments into the video. And then the other advantage of Kaltura is that you can embed it anywhere using insert stuff. So once it's in Kaltura, it's in your My Media space. And that's a space that is individual to you, so that only you can see it. And this is just where you can keep your videos, edit them, manage them in general. Then you can embed them pretty much anywhere else in your course using that insert stuff button that you'll often see in various places in D2L. It's in the news item or in the news area and content. Pretty much anywhere you can drop a video. Yeah, Faye?
Unlike everyone else, I do not have a course shell. So if I want to do a video, I'm likely to want to put it in somebody's course shell. Is there a way to do that?
That's a great question. You can record the Kaltura desktop tool and use it to record. And then I suppose you could take that MP4 file that it creates and send it to the instructor that you're wanting to embed in their shell. Or I could do that for you if you would like, since you don't have a course shell. But you can still use the Kaltura capture tool. You just don't have access to the Kaltura My Media space, I don't think, unless you're actually inside of D2L. Yeah. So great question. Can you embed them across courses? Yes. So I will actually switch over and let's take a look at Kaltura My Media live here. So again, it's under More, Kaltura My Media. And it's loading. There we go. So this is all of the videos that I have uploaded or had some part in creating and uploading. So this is kind of like your personal area for keeping all of your videos organized. So they exist here until you embed them into a course. And it can be in any course. This same area is going to show up in any course shell that you go to. The Kaltura My Media is going to be the same in every single course. So I could go, I'm in this particular course. I could go over to, an English 1010 shell, and I can embed any video that I am the owner of. So if you uploaded it, if you created it, then you have universal access to it. You can embed it anywhere in any of your courses that you have banner teacher access to, you have edit access to. If you're wanting to, there are a couple of additional steps you'd have to take if you're wanting to allow other people to share your videos into their courses. And I'd be happy to show you that if that is of interest. Yes, Mary?
So as of a couple hours ago, our course shells for the fall were not available. So let's say I want to go on and record some videos for fall.
Mm-hmm.
Would I go into one of my existing shells and record those? And then when my fall shells were available, then I would just upload them to the fall shells?
Yeah, you can go into an existing course that you have, any course. It doesn't have to be the fall course. And go ahead and record or upload your video into this My Media space. And then once your fall shell is ready, then you can go into that and then just embed it where you would like the video to appear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Did anyone else have a question at this point? I thought I saw one more hand. But great. These are all great questions. And really pertinent since the fall shells haven't been created yet. Just know if you are wanting to get ahead and start working on recording videos, please by all means go into Kaltura, start adding them in there, and then once the shells are available, you can just embed them in there. The My Media space will be accessible to you from anywhere inside of your courses. Okay, so as far as what options you have here, just wanted to kind of go over what all we have here available in the Kaltura interface. You have a couple of different ways you can upload content here. If you have an MP4 file that's already on your computer, you can just click Media Upload, find where that file is saved, drop it right in here, and it'll automatically caption and be ready to put into course shells. There's an express capture option, which you just click this, it'll just activate the webcam. If you're just wanting to record something short and sweet and to the point, you don't want to download Kaltura and go through all of that, you can use that express capture option. YouTube, mentioned this before, but you can grab any YouTube URL from any YouTube video and drop it into Kaltura. The advantage there being that it'll auto caption it using Kaltura, which is generally more accurate than the YouTube auto captions. Kaltura Capture, something I've mentioned a couple of times. If we click on that, it will take you to this page, which will prompt you to download the Kaltura Capture desktop recorder, either for Windows or for Mac. And that looks something like this. I've got it open here. This is the tool. Is everyone able to see the tool with the big red button? Yeah, and this is why I love it, because it's super easy to do exactly what you want to do. This is it. This is the tool. That's all there is. And you just decide whether you want to show the screen or not, your camera or not. It won't work because I'm in Zoom, or audio or not. And then you hit record. Very easy. With this tool also, it's linked to your Kaltura My Media space. So anything you record in here, it's going to automatically upload that into Kaltura. So that's why I say it's all in one. This is the least headache of all of them for sure, just because that we have this integration. Back to Dale's point either about saving files, it does record this as an MP4 and it does save it on your computer. So even though it's uploading it to Kaltura, My Media, you also still have the MP4 file in your own personal files. Yes, Yvonne?
Oh, could you explain the difference between the bottom two options down there? It says full screen or select area.
Yeah, so the full screen will just record the entire screen in front of you. Or you can select an area of the screen to record. I don't know if you all can see this in the Zoom call because it is jumping over to my other monitor. But basically it will pop up with a dotted line that will just select a portion of the screen. You can adjust the size that you would like to capture. So if you're just wanting to focus in on one little part of the screen, like if you're doing the tour of Photoshop and you just want to show the toolbar with the tools that are in Photoshop, you can just zero in on that and not show everything else. Is that kind of clarify? I'm sorry I can't show you on the actual screen, unfortunately.
Yeah, I just had problems with it last semester when I was trying to do that. It would, like, I couldn't select a screen. I'm in a Mac, so I couldn't select a screen if it was in the full screen mode. I had to be in the, I don't know what they're called, like the window mode for it to show it. So it was a little bit confusing at first, but I don't know if it works different on Macs than it does on.
I think it should work the same, but if you would like, we could get together and I would take a look at that with you and just see what's going on. Yeah, I'm just not having it in front of me. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
But in theory, that's how it should work. It should select just a portion of your screen and allow you to adjust it.
Okay.
Really quickly, in the time we have left, I'm just going to quickly show you, once you have some content here in your My Media space, how do you actually put that into your course? So let's say we go to content, add existing activities, insert Kaltura, and it's going to pop up with all of the videos you have in your My Media space. You just select which one you want and it will embed it right here into the module. And similarly, you can, I think you can embed this also in, say, like a news item or something like that using that insert stuff button. In terms of if you're, not really wanting to go through the whole thing with Kaltura, again, there are a couple of other options as well. So if you just don't have time to download Kaltura and mess with all of this stuff, there are a couple of other really easy ways to integrate video into your course. One of them is Add Video Note. So this is a really often overlooked tool inside of D2L. If you click Insert Stuff, which is all over the place in D2L, if in the toolbar, if you're creating content, click Insert Stuff and then select Add Video Note. It will activate your webcam and you can very quickly record just a quick video if just wanting to do something informal and casual. It also will caption it, so that's not a concern. The only problem is that it defaults to your webcam audio because you can't change the audio input, so it might not be the best possible quality. You can also record video feedback if you're providing feedback on an assignment in Assignment Dropbox. Again, this often gets overlooked, but sometimes it might help to have a bit of a human touch, when you're explaining why a student received a particular grade or what your recommendations for improvement are. You can just click this button, Record Video, down below the feedback box in Assignment Dropbox. Record a really quick video. Much like the Add Video Note, though, this is more for kind of formal, informal, unedited, short little videos. And again, it also defaults to webcam audio, so it's maybe not the best quality. Okay, so that is everything that I had. We are at time, so please feel free to leave. I want to be respectful of your time if you need to, but I will also stick around for several minutes in case we have any further questions or if you would like to look at anything in particular in D2L. Yeah, Dale.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got called away for a little while, and so I'm sorry if I missed this. Two things. I was wondering if you had gone over cameras and mics, and I also was wondering if you went over the actual video editing process. Were those two things covered?
I did cover mics and webcams. Yeah, we did talk about what equipment would be necessary for
Okay.
recording video.
Okay.
And I included a couple of options in the slides. So those are linked. I will send the slides out to everyone who was present in the meeting today, or anyone who's interested.
And you're recording this, so is this going to be available up on the Teaching Center website?
Yes, so this is recorded and it will be available on the Teaching Center website. Again, if you want to go back and look at where we went over equipment. I didn't so much talk about the video editing process, but I could show you all that if you would like to take a look at that. I'm mainly thinking of Kaltura. It does have an editing tool. So once you upload something into Kaltura, you can do some basic edits. Nothing really fancy or exceptionally involved. But if you have some videos in Kaltura, this edit button right here will allow you to come to the screen, and then you click Launch Editor. And this just has just some basic editing functions. So trimming the video, if there's kind of some dead air at the beginning or the end of the video, you can trim it off using these slider bars. The split function will allow you to create a part where you want to split the video. So if you're wanting to cut out portions of it, that's useful for that. So you click that and then say click that here. And then you could select that portion if there's something you don't like that made it into the video and just delete it. So again, this is nothing like terribly involved, but this is pretty much everything you would need for just recording a basic video. And then I also shared some recommendations. Video editor for PC and iMovie for Mac also do something similar if you just want to do that on your computer rather than in the browser.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yes, Gail.
If you're doing just that basic message, like for feedback or something like that, can you pause it in the middle?
I
Or,
want to say that you can. You certainly can delete one. If you do a take that you don't like, you can delete it before you post it, and then just do it
Mhm.
again. We can take a look at that. Absolutely. So I will have to turn my camera off for this to work. We click record video, and there I am. You can click new recording, and then whenever you're ready, stop recording. And then whenever, apologies for any echo. And let's see, if you don't like it, you just cancel out of this. If you do, add. So yeah, to answer your question, Gail, it doesn't look like you can pause and resume. It's kind of
Okay.
a one take thing, which is why I say that it's more for short, casual, informal videos, like when you're talking through feedback, like you might give a student in person.
Mhm.
Not something where, that's overly produced, if that makes sense.
Yes, it
Great.
does. And I did send you a couple of options. I direct messaged you, but I emailed you 2 options I like for you to take a look at and kind of give
Sure.
me your recommendation.
Sure, I would love to. Yeah, I will take a look at that absolutely, and let you know if um what I can tell you about those.
Okay.
Yeah. Any
They
further
both from
questions?
Amazon.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Any more questions I can answer for anyone? Great. Well, thank you all so much. If you do have any further questions, feel free to email me or online.learning@nscc.edu. Happy to provide any help with anything related to online learning, but especially videos if you have any lingering questions. So thank you all, and have a
Thank
great rest of
you.
your week.
This
Thank
was so
you.
good.
Oh, good.
Excellent session, Anna. It was
Oh, thank
awesome.
you. Thank you. Thanks for all the great questions.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. See you, Deborah.
Yep.
Bye.
She hung up. I want to know how to do that.